You did your visualization this morning. You felt amazing. You felt totally aligned. And by 10 a.m., you were anxious again. And what happened? Let me tell you something that most manifestation teachers will never admit. Manifestation doesn't fail during your morning practice. It fails at 10:47 a.m. when you check your bank balance. It fails at 2:15 p.m. when you see somebody else succeeding. And it fails at 6:30 p.m. when that text message has still not come through from the person that you were hoping it to come through from. These moments, the ones that you don't think matter, those are where everything actually breaks. Here's what a typical day would probably look like. You wake up, you do your practice, you feel calm, you feel hopeful, and for 10 minutes, you are in the state. You feel wealthy, you feel loved, and you feel like it is already done. Then you check your phone, and there's perhaps a message that you wasn't expecting. An email that maybe triggers something, or maybe your bank balance just staring back at you. And without realizing, your entire state of being shifts. Not dramatically, no big breakdown that you notice, just a subtle tightening in your chest, a quiet frustration, and a small drop in trust. And that is where manifestation actually breaks. Not because you didn't believe hard enough, not because you didn't visualize clearly enough, not because the universe changed its mind, but because the state that you entered for 10 minutes in the morning didn't survive contact with real life. And this is the part that almost nobody teaches. You walk into any manifestation space, even YouTube, books, courses, and what do they focus on? They focus on morning routines, night routines, visualization scripts, affirmation lists, all the ways to create a state. But here's the truth. Reality doesn't respond to the 10 minutes that you spend practicing. It responds to the state that you live in for the other 23 hours and 50 minutes of the day. And this is why people say manifestation, it works sometimes, but not consistently. They can enter the state, they just can't stay there. And let me explain what's actually happening. Because once you do see this, everything then becomes predictable instead of being totally random. Manifestation is not about intensity, it's about stability. So I keep coming back to this, but think of it like a radio signal. If your signal keeps flickering, strong for a moment and then weak, then strong again, and then it's gone, the station, it can't lock on. It needs that consistency. Now, your inner state, it works exactly the same way. If you keep switching between calm and panic, trust and fear, certainty and doubt, reality reflects that instability back to you. And it's not as a punishment. It's not as some test. It's simply just feedback. The world mirrors what you are offering the most, what you are often being, not what you briefly imagine for 10 minutes. Now, here's what usually trips people up. They think manifestation collapsed because something negative happened. Like a bill arrived, a message didn't come, someone rejected them. But it's not the event that breaks it. It's the reaction to the event. So let me give you a real example. So 2 people are manifesting money, and both of them, they check their bank account. Both see less than expected. Now, person 1 immediately tightens. They feel that familiar panic. And then they start that mental loop again. Like, there's never enough. This always happens. I knew it wasn't going to work. Now, person 2, they see the same number. They notice the trigger. So they take a breath and they choose to stay neutral. Now, they don't pretend that the number's any different. They don't force any fake positivity. They just don't feed the panic. Reality responds to the second person in a different way. Why? Because their nervous system, it remained in a safe space. And this is what I call state leakage. So state leakage is when your inner coherence, it drains away through unconscious reactions throughout the day. So you don't notice it happening because it just feels normal. It feels automatic. You're not thinking, I'm ruining my manifestation right now. You're thinking, this is just life. This is just how things are. But your body, it doesn't know the difference. Your body only knows whether it feels safe or whether it feels threatened. Manifestation, for the things that you want usually, depend on safety. When your nervous system is in threat, even a subtle threat, it cannot hold the frequency of what you are trying to manifest. And this is something that I had to learn the hard way. Before everything shifted for me, before I healed from cancer, before my finances stabilized, before I attracted a healthy relationship, I understood manifestation just intellectually. I'd read Neville Goddard, I'd read Joseph Murphy, loads of others, Vedic texts, quantum physics. I could explain it to other people. I knew how it worked, but my nervous system was still living in survival. So even when I imagined something better, even when I felt aligned during practice, my body didn't believe that I was actually safe to receive it. The mismatch, it creates noise, and noise confuses the signal. And this is why people have moments of success followed by long periods where just nothing happens. They spike alignment and then they collapse back. So it's spike, collapse, spike and collapse. And not because they're weak and not because they're doing it wrong, but because they were never taught how to regulate their state during the rest of the day. And this is the missing skill. And I want to be very clear about what regulation actually means, because most people hear that word and they think control your thoughts or stay positive all the time. And that is not it. State regulation is not about controlling your thoughts. It's not about forcing any kind of positivity. It's not about pretending that everything is fine when it's not. Regulation simply means that you notice a reaction starting and you don't feed it. And that's it. You don't suppress it. You don't analyze it. You don't fight it. You just don't build a story around it. So let me show you the difference. Something triggers you. Now, maybe it's a delayed payment or a cancelled plan. Maybe it's an unexpected expense. Now, without regulation, your mind immediately, it starts narrating a response like, this always happens to me. Here we go again. Of course this didn't work out. Nothing ever goes my way. That inner commentary is what collapses coherence. It takes a neutral event and it turns it into evidence of your old identity. Now, with regulation, you notice the same trigger. You feel the disappointment, natural, the frustration, the tightening, but you don't narrate it. You just let it be, like without feeding it, without making it mean something about who you are or what is actually possible. And within 60 seconds, it passes, and the signal that you need to be in, it stays steady. And that's the difference between someone who manifests occasionally and someone who manifests predictably. It's not bigger belief, it's not a better technique, it's steadiness when life tests the state. And yes, it will test you, and it's not to punish you, but because reality reflects consistency. If your state only exists when conditions are perfect, then it's not stable yet. Stability is built in the ordinary moments. The moment you pause instead of reacting, the moment that you soften instead of tightening up, and the moment you choose neutrality instead of panic. And at these moments, they do seem small, but they compound. And this is where manifestation becomes predictable instead of mysterious. Now, let me address something that I hear all the time. And it's, but Dion, I know all of this. You know, I understand how it works, but it doesn't work for me. Here's why. Understanding is not the same as embodying. Like, you can hear all the ideas. You can understand all the mechanics. You can explain it to someone. But if your body hasn't learned to stay regulated when triggered, then the old state will just keep winning, because manifestation is not intellectual. It's a nervous system. Your body has to feel safe with the new identity, and that safety is built purely through repetition in ordinary moments, not through just one powerful visualization in the morning, through 100 small choices to stay neutral instead of collapsing. And this is why people say, I know this stuff, but it don't work for me. It's not that it doesn't work. It's that knowing doesn't equal living. Living it means that your state remains steady when something unexpected happens. It means that you don't collapse when you're tested. It means that you can hold the frequency when external circumstances haven't yet shifted around you. That's practice. And I'll be honest with you, it's not the sexy part of manifestation. It's not the dramatic visualization where you see yourself in a mansion. You know, it's not the big ritual with candles and crystals. It's the boring moment at 2 p.m. in the afternoon on a Sunday or a Tuesday or a Monday. It's when you choose not to spiral after reading a text message. But that moment, that boring, ordinary, unglamorous moment, that is where your manifestation is actually being built or broken. And this is why manifestation techniques alone, they never work long term. Techniques, they create that entry point to give you access into the state, but state regulation keeps that door open. Without regulation, you will just keep cycling. You'll have these breakthroughs followed by breakdowns. You'll manifest something small and then you'll lose it. You'll see signs and then you'll get nothing. It's because the state keeps collapsing throughout the day. So if you take nothing else from this video, the work is not in the morning practice or the evening practice. The work is in the moments after the practice, when life happens, when those triggers show up, when reality tests whether your state is real or whether it's just imagined. That's when you either strengthen the signal or you leak it away. And the good news is this is a skill. You know, it's not something that you either have or you haven't got. It's something that you can build through repetition. Every time that you notice a reaction and you choose not to feed it, then you are building regulation within the field. Every time that you test or every time that you feel a trigger and you stay neutral, you're strengthening that signal. Every time that you choose a new state instead of the old pattern, then you're training your nervous system to live there. And over time, over weeks, over months, the state becomes who you are instead of something that you have to practice to remember. And that's when manifestation becomes effortless. Not because you're trying any harder, because you become the person whom those things are natural. So in the next video, I will show you how imagination, emotion, and action all work together once this foundation is solid. But none of that matters, remember, if your state keeps collapsing throughout the day. So if this is your first time here, welcome to this channel. It's about understanding the mechanics of manifestation and not just hoping that it works. If you want to go deeper, there are other videos on this channel that break down each piece, but start wherever feels right for you. My name is Dion Goldsmith, and this is Manifestation Mechanics. It's not hope, it's not belief, it's not wishful thinking. It's just understanding how reality actually responds when your inner state becomes steady. And if this resonated for you, if you've been experiencing exactly what I've described, if you've had that pattern of spike then collapse, leave a comment and tell me, because I do read every single comment. And your specific situation helps me create content that addresses exactly what you guys are going through. Your state is your creation. Your identity is your destiny. So stay steady, and reality has no choice but to meet you there. I'll see you in the next video.